The third word of Jesus was, he was talking to his mother and the disciples whom he loved. The words are from John's Gospel, 19th chapter, verses 26 and 27. When Jesus therefore saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing by, he said to his mother, "Woman, behold your son." Then he said to the disciple, "Behold your mother." And from that hour, that disciple took her to his own home. So I'm just going to lay out what's happening here. This is an interaction between Jesus and four characters at the cross. The loved ones of Jesus are with him. There are four at the foot of the cross: Mary, his mother; John, the disciple whom he loved; his mother's sister Mary, the wife of Clopas; and Mary Magdalene. So primarily this interaction is between Mary and Jesus. Here we see that Jesus is being crucified. He's on the cross. We can't even imagine how a mother's heart would respond to the misery, to the humiliation, to the pain Jesus is going through at that moment. How she must have felt meeting her son as he carried the cross through the route to his crucifixions, and how when he was nailed onto that cross, how a sword must have pierced her soul as the prophecy was fulfilled there. Once again, a sword pierced Mary's soul. We are reminded of the prophecy of Simeon at the presentation of the infant Jesus in the temple. So here we're talking about a mother who is looking at her son who is being put through such a turmoil, and at that moment Jesus looked at Mary and said, "Woman, behold your son. John is now your son." And he looked at John, the disciple. "This is now your mother." So at first glance, this statement doesn't really make much of an impact compared to the other words Jesus spoke on that cross, which are so much heavier, so much weightier, but it just feels like he's just taking care of his mom. He's just talking about family business. He's just taking care of his mother. But when we really delve deeper into these words, we see the importance that there is a straight reference to theological and practical significance in our lives. So what was happening here? Jesus stopped and he took care of his mother. That's the gist of it. That's the gist of the whole interaction. He stopped there, going through all that he is going through, and took a moment and he took care of his mother. What was Jesus doing there? He was paying for the sins of the world. He was suffering one of the most egregious, most painful experiences, physically and mentally, anyone can possibly go through. And also he's being put through such a spiritual punishment. God's wrath is falling on Jesus on that cross. He is just being put into such a punishment so that we don't get all the wrath of God that we deserve. Even though Jesus is enduring through all these pains, spiritually, mentally, physically, he just stopped going through all that and took a moment and took care of his mother. When we look at these words are talking about Jesus taking care of his mother. So according to the law, you're responsible for the widows. So since St. Joseph is not here, we are assuming he passed on, and the responsibility of taking care of Mary falls on Jesus. So now Jesus is unable to take care of Mary. So here, he stopped and he forged a relationship between Mary and John. So when we talk about Jesus, all the sacrifices he did for us, we only look at the big picture. So we look at the picture that Jesus came into this world, he died for our sins. That's like a major, major deal. He really took away all the punishment we deserve. But He's not only concerned about the big things, he's also concerned about the small details. He's concerned about his mother being unable to fend for herself. He found someone responsible for her, caring for her. And also we see that at this moment, Jesus had no sin in him. Jesus had been in a relationship with God from eternity. But at this moment, Jesus was losing that relationship. That relationship has been ripped away from him. So even though paying through such a cost, he is able to take care of such a minute deal. When we look at the words Jesus spoke on the cross, this particular words he could have spoken any time before the cross, before the crucifixion. He could have just found someone to take care of Mary throughout his journey before. He knew that the cross was coming. He knew that he was being crucified, but he waited for this particular moment so that we can see the vastness, the depth of love Jesus has for us. So this word, we can say that this is a word of affection, love. So Jesus, even though came into this world to sacrifice for our sins, but still he is not distracted. He is not suffering. He is not away to be bothered by small details in our lives. Jesus is there for everything in our lives. The biggest sin he took away, but he is also there for the smallest details, smallest things which we want someone to be there for. So God doesn't just care for you and love you by offering you salvation. He wants to love you and care for you even in the smallest details of your life. So we have to understand the depth of love God has for us. So his blood counted for the sins of the world, showing us he can meet the most significant punishment, most significant need in the universe, that is our sin. But also, he can take care of the smallest details in our lives. He is available for listening to smallest details in our lives. Sometimes we might just think that, oh, this is just too small for God. No, it is not. Anything in our life, how much ever small it is, how much ever minute it might seem like, God is there for us. God will stand for us. This story shows us that God wants to love and care for you the way a dying son cared for his mother. So God wants to care for us, show the love for us as a man dying on that cross. He's showing his love towards his mother. And another point I want to make here is, here at the cross, the family of Christ, the family of fellowship has broadened. Here, Jesus had other siblings, half-siblings, who could have took care of Mary, but Jesus did not rely on them because they did not believe him. Mary believed him and John followed him. So here he forged a relationship between these two people. So they're not related by blood, but their relationship has been forged. Here, Jesus says, "Woman, behold your son." And then he said to the disciples, "Behold your mother." So he gave John a new mother and he gave Mary a new son. So we have a lot to gain at the cross when we see this relationship. We see the love Jesus wants us to be part of. We see that Jesus is holding us responsible for someone to take care of. Not only love, but here we also see that Jesus held John to be responsible for Mary. So Jesus wants that responsibility to fall on us when we show the love, when we show the care, when we show that we are capable of loving him. We are capable of showing that affection to our fellow brethren and fellow sisters. So, as Jesus said in his ministry, "I tell you the truth, no one who has left home or brothers or sisters or mother or father or children or fields for me and the gospel will fail to receive 100 times as much in this present age." Written in Mark 10:29 and 30. So Jesus as he announced in his ministry, so whoever leaves everybody to take care and follow Jesus, take care of his people, and spread the gospel, we're going to be blessed 100 times. Jesus says they won't be failed to receive 100 times as much. So we see here from the simple interaction that Jesus, as big a God he is, as mighty a God he is available for the small things. He is there for us. He wants to be a brother who is close to us so that we can lean on to him. He is there as a father who will care for us as a daughter and a son. He is there for us in all these things. So let's take these Jesus words on the cross to forge a bond with fellow believers. And also we have a responsibility to take care of fellow believers, fellow brothers and sisters, so that we can impart the affection Jesus imparted to us. So those few words give us the interaction of Jesus with Mary and John, how he took care of Mary, even though he was so feeble, he was going through such a painful situation, such a miserable situation on that cross. So just be reminded that God is always there for us. He is not distracted or not far away, even in the minute details. Thank you.